Well, to state the obvious, we're very happy to be here, as I'm sure that 15 other schools in America are. To be at this point, 40 minutes away from a Final Eight, and obviously 80 minutes away from a Final Four is an exciting thing. We've had the opportunity to be here on a number of occasions. Never take anything for granted. They're always fun, and it's what you eventually start out working for at the beginning of a basketball season. So we're a very happy team. We understand that to get to Saturday, we got to beat a very good San Diego State team. They have terrific players. They remind me a little bit of not a typical team in the Big East today, but a little more maybe in the midpoint of this decade. 6'8", 6'9" athletes, a lot of them up front, and good guard play, well coached, and just a very good basketball team with a lottery selection at the 3 spot, and they've won a ton of games. So they're a very good team. We know that, and we're looking forward to playing them tomorrow at either 4:15 or 7:15, whatever your psychic clock says.
Okay, we'll open up to questions. Go right there. Larry, I'll get over to you.
Mark Sigler, San Diego Union Tribune. You mentioned you've been here quite a few times. Can you talk about how does that help you? Back here. How does that help you in terms of preparation, if not from a player standpoint, but from a coach's standpoint? Is it an advantage having been this far so many times?
Well, there's a slight advantage. The biggest advantage is who you bring with you. A couple of years ago, when we brought Hashim Thabit at 7'3", and A.J. Price plays for the Pacers, and Hashim playing for the Houston Rockets, and some very good players and an experienced team. But it was very exciting, but also that's an advantage. And then, in 2004, when we brought Emeka Okafor, Ben Gordon, Charlie Villanueva, Hilton Armstrong, and Josh Boone, who all went on to play in the NBA, didn't need much of my wisdom and just needed us to play well. But bottom line is that I do think that if you can try to, as best you can, we do enough playing Saturday, Mondays in the Big East, where you play a Saturday game and a big Monday game, that if you can, as best, and it's very difficult with all the hoopla in many ways to do that, but we try to treat it like that kind of weekend. We need to, and we don't really get into deep thought of like, this is it. If you lose, you go home. I mean, I don't think those words would ever come out of our mouths. We're just saying simply, we're going to get this one to get to Saturday, and let's make sure we make great preparations. A great business trip for us to California, and trying to take care of Thursday first, and then we'll look into what happens on Saturday. But we know who all the other 3 teams are, and we know that we don't have to worry about the other 2 until we see how well we can do against a very good San Diego State team. There is advantages, no question, because I know in the first couple of years, it was a little more difficult to try to navigate your way through the whole mess, and I've done now is just try to bring it down to San Diego State. And I have no idea who else is playing the other regions, nor do I care. And I think that if you can be that finite to bring it in, it has worked fairly well for us.
We'll go 4th row on the aisle
Uh,
here.
Bob Ryan, Boston Globe. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most shocking, how surprised would you have been to be here on October 15th? Looking back, October 15th, that somebody told you you'd be here.
Well, we've been here before, as I said before. I don't know if I'd be a 10 as far as surprised. Happy, elated. But I'm the same guy, even though I suppose I have a somewhat dour exterior at times. Well, a lot of the times. And I'm the guy who had 16 miles to go on a bike and happened to have 9 broken ribs and kept going. And my point being, it's kind of the story of my life to some degree that Bob, I don't ever stop dreaming about going. So I can't ever say it's a shock to me, because it isn't. We have now a kid who's evolved, and when I look at my players, and this sometimes can be a conflict between them and myself, I never look at really what they are. I kind of look at what they can be. And I think if you look to some of the kids we've had go through our program, be it Ben, be it Emeka, et cetera, these kids weren't big-name high school players per se. And my point, I thought we had a chance to do something special because Kimba in my opinion, could be special. The other things that have happened, no question, have surprised me. I mean, Jeremy Lamb to come from a kid whose father beat us on a jump shot when I was coaching at Northeastern to becoming one of the best freshmen in the country and eventually be a great, great player for us, to Alex growing a lot as a person, Alex Oriaki, our strength inside, to Shabazz Napier just being a great defensive basketball player, a little 6'5", 5'11" guard. To have him, when you look at them, as I said, you always look twofold. You know, what things we need to improve or we worry about, and conversely, what things can they be? I'm happy, elated. I can't tell you I wrote it down because I usually try to write where I think we'll be at the end of the season. And we ended up, at the end of the season, losing 3 out of 4. A tough one to Notre Dame in the last game. But we caught fire in the Big East tournament, won 5 games in 5 days, and here we are, and we're playing the best basketball certainly we've played. Everything that I thought could happen good has happened good.
We'll go here and then in the back.
Nick Canepa with the San Diego Union Tribune. Can you talk a bit about Kawhi Leonard and what specific problems he poses for you, and if you've seen anybody quite like him in your travels this year?
I don't know about this year. I've seen his kind of player before. He's a multi-dimensional forward who can just do so many things. He likes to handle the ball. He can shoot it. He averages double-doubles. He's a lottery selection, in my opinion. He's a matchup problem from day one. Hopefully, on the other end, we can match him a few times playing smaller and then try to cover his post-up ability. But, no, you know, he's probably one of those kids in America. The kid from BYU is a great player, great scorer, but to me, he's the guy maybe with even the bigger basketball future. I mean, he's really, really good. He can do so many things, and you're 100% right what you opened with. He's a tough matchup. Because if you go power, he's going to take you outside, and if you go small, he's going to take you inside. And, you know, with the way some of his teammates are playing, you know, get a couple double-doubles themselves, he's a heck of a matchup problem and can cause some sleepless mornings. I've been waking early in California anyways, but the thought of him a little bit can, instead of 5 o'clock wake up, he's more of a 4 o'clock wake up.
In the back by the pillar.
Ben Higgins, KGTV in San Diego. Coach, being across the country, did you even know much about the San Diego State program before this week, and have you learned anything that surprised you since the matchup was set?
Well, first thing, I'm a basketball junkie, so I kind of watch everybody and try to figure out, you know, teams, and I enjoy watching basketball games. I can't tell you, I've seen them play about 3 times just when they went on 10 o'clock or something of that nature and watched them. I guess the thing I've learned the most is just how good they are. I mean, they'd be good wherever they played, Big East, Big 12, whatever. I mean, they're just a really good basketball team. The thing we don't bring into this is experience, except for Kimber. The thing they bring into it is 4 or 5 seniors, depending on how many they play, and they're really good. I mean, they're just a really good basketball team. A lot of times you get a very athletic group like them, and when they do open up, by the way, they're great in space. They play well when they're running. But Steve puts them into a lot of situations where they can really execute very well in the half court. So they're kind of double-edged sword to play, because if a team's a wide-open team, you try to slow them down, and obviously if they're a half-court team, you try to speed them up. But I think they play sometimes as well in the open court as they do in the half-court set, and that makes them very difficult. So when I found out, the more I looked at them, the more we talked about them, they're a legitimate team. They'd be a legitimate team in any league in the country.
Go right here and then over there.
Jay Paris, North County Times. Coach, can you talk of the challenge of playing a team so close to their campus, 100 miles or so, and do you think that'll be a distinct advantage for them?
Well, we played UCLA and Oakland. They went on to win the national championship that year in '96. We played George Mason on their campus, I thought it was. It was the Horizon Center, my bad. Or Verizon, I'm sorry. I'll make sure I keep those advertising dollars coming through. But we've played an awful lot of people, it seems. We played North Carolina in the Final 8 in Greensboro. That was the year they gave out stats at halftime with just North Carolina on it. No, that's just a memory thing that happens to you occasionally. But no, we seem to have an awful lot of that, you know. But I think that quite frankly, we've always opted to go away many times because it was the fourth or fifth time out west, and playing out of the West, we've been fairly successful. And, I 3 officials, 10 kids playing basketball on the court. The first time we got to the Final Four was '99 against Gonzaga and Phoenix. And I swear to God that if there were 18,000 in the building, 17,500 were rooting for Gonzaga. And so we've been exposed to that before. Yet, can it help another? I don't know if it hurts you. I always think it helps the other team, though. If they get down a little bit, I think it helps the other team, yeah.
We'll go back here.
Thank you. Coach Tim Sullivan, San Diego Union Tribune. Wanted to ask you, you and Steve Fisher, I think, are the 2 senior coaches left in the tournament.
What does the word senior mean?
68 and 65.
Okay, I just clarify that.
And I wanted to know if you, stylistically, you would appear to be a little different. How much contact have you had with him over the years? How well do you know him? And what accounts, in your mind, for your longevity?
My longevity is stubbornness. Purely in Irish stubborn, just won't give in. I don't know what afflicts Steve to keep going, but that's my excuse. No, but I think the love of the game. I think it's wanting to do something you like. I think when you end up after doing this is my 39th year as a Division I head coach, and to be honest with you, one of the happiest years I've ever had in coaching. And it hasn't been necessarily an easy year for me personally. It was with some unfortunate deaths, and my sister-in-law and my college roommate who I was very close to, other factors. But this team has made basketball so much fun because it's what I do. It's who I am in many, many ways. I mean, I am other things. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I hope I'm a lot more than just a basketball coach. But when it gets down to it, that kind of becomes yourself. And so, therefore, I would assume the same thing with Steve. I would think that he stays doing this because of the love of the game and love of the kids. And for us, really, to find a team like this. We were in the Final Four 2 years ago. I really liked that team. That was a fun team, Jeff and AJ and those guys. But this team is, with its 7 freshmen and a couple sophomores and Kimber, it's just been so much fun coaching them. They have the most resilience of any team I've ever coached. I was upset with them early, and we didn't lose a lot early, but when we lost, when I went into the gym, and I kept telling my assistants they're too happy. It wasn't they were too happy. They couldn't look. They were looking forward to trying to get better. And I think Kimmer helps an awful lot because of his leadership. So I think Steve and I do know Steve fairly well. Once again, I got to know him on Nike trips as much as anything else. I knew him when he was at Michigan. And once again, I would think we have a good talk relationship. Beyond that, we're separated by 3,000 miles, and I haven't seen him really that much since he left Michigan.
We'll go up front here.
Thank you. Len Robbins, New York Post. Jim, up here to your left. You just mentioned before, if I heard you correctly, that you think the kid at San Diego State might have a better future than the kid at BYU. Where does Kemba's future match up in that line?
Well, it's going to be biased, but I think Kemba's future is really any place. You know, we leave the Georgetown game in Big John, who I happened to be at Camp Millbrook down when I got to college, and he was my roommate, and I got cut, and he was his second year, I think, with the Celtics. And he said, you know that the little guy you have? He said, that's Allen Iverson at times. And you know what? With his 42 and 33 and 30, all the points that he scored, he does have that Allen Iverson go-at-you-score mentality. But he also, in my opinion, has always been, his nickname in high school and coming into UConn was Easy Pass, because he was such a great distributor of the basketball. He's already proven that in other games with double-figure assists. And I just think that at 6 feet, 185 pounds, there isn't anything he can't do. And the greatest thing he can do is he can lead a team and then impose some of his will on his teammates. Most people can't transmit that. That's a hard thing to do, and I've had some great players, and some can. But Kimmer can do so many different things. To me, defensively on the ball, pressure, rebounding. He averages almost 6 rebounds a game. So I think he's the most special of 3 really great players we just talked about. I think he's most valuable, by the way, too. I think because of the guys around him don't have a lot of experience, he has given them an awful lot.